Hello, everybody. Welcome to CWU podcast, our monthly industrial series that we've been doing. This one's a bit of a special one, actually, because special in a sense of unique, because obviously you would have seen, hopefully, yesterday the announcement on Royal Mail Pay with the current board not having the remit to negotiate, and obviously the takeover not yet being completed. So it's a difficult situation and one that entirely not of the making of the CWU that we find ourselves in. But clearly, we've got thousands of members who are very dependent on that pay rise. Bills are rising, rents rising, mortgages are rising, all those sorts of things. So it's caused, a significant reaction. So we thought we'd sit down with our Deputy General Secretary, Martin Walsh, and talk through that. Martin, how you doing?
Yeah, not bad, Chris. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Martin. Good to have you with us as always. And, make it clear again, as I always do, that Martin is always super keen and actually suggested that we had this session himself. Martin, I guess, I've given a little bit of an overview there, but from your perspective then, where are we on not just pay, but all the issues associated with Section 5 of the agreement that yourself and Dave Walsh with EP Group on, things like new entrance terms and conditions, sick pay, voluntary redundancy terms, and much more?
Look, we reached obviously a groundbreaking agreement in December. And at that point, the UK government cleared EP. The European Commission agreed EP in January. What has delayed this at the moment is the Romanian link. We expect them to clear that, and we expect them to clear that imminently. And obviously the offer would then go back on the table. What the difficulty we have is obviously we want to resolve pay, we want to equalise and new entrants to pay and terms and conditions over an agreed period of time. We want a new resourcing model, we want improvements in sick pay, we want improvements in VR, overtime rates, SA, and we want a new incentive scheme. And you won't be getting that off the current board. The current board obviously have not supported any way the EP agreement. And they're a company which is probably going to break even in terms of profit. So it is madness for us to go and negotiate with the current board when we've got the opportunity over the next few weeks to negotiate with the new owners, Royal Mail on their behalf, and we're determined to get an above pay inflation pay increase. We're determined to get the equalisation of new terms and pay and conditions, and we're going to use all our leverages on that. Obviously, Royal Mail want the USO rolling out post July. Well, we're not going to be doing any support for USO outside the pilot units until we got a pay deal, until we got Section 5 resolved. So we're going to give assurance to our members. We're determined at any stage to commence those negotiations. And, if we could have commenced them by now, we would have done. We're hoping in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we can then seriously get down to negotiations and conclude the right agreement for our members.
Thanks, Martin. I think that's a really good and solid overview. But I want to take, I want to frame it from the members, because I think that's the best way possible. Because social media is, sometimes, a bit of an echo chamber. Sometimes people shoot from the hips. Sometimes it's non-members, disgruntled former members, managers even, who are posting on our pages. But what was clear yesterday was there are a number of our really sort of long-term loyal members who are just, in a difficult position, financially and really need this pay rise, or new entrants who are really keen to see their team terms and conditions equalised as quick as possible, for example. So I want to put some of their members' comments to you, if I can. So we have Steve Moore, I don't know if you can see that on your screen now, who says, strange how the current board can change the USO but can't negotiate on pay. So, I mean, from a layman's point of view, then explain why, this board, who we say, you just rightly said, they've launched an all-out attack on postal workers. They're about to break even at best. They are not willing to move forward all the issues that you secured agreement with EP Group. But why are they able then to move forward on some of the USO trails? It seems a little bit like, you know, they're getting what they want, but not prepared to give back what our members want.
Look, I can understand that view, but what's important here is last June, when Royal Mail and EP commenced those current negotiations on the takeover, Royal Mail, as part of that undertaking, said that the USO change would have to be taken on by EP. So last June, they knew, obviously, the USO reform would be there. We have agreed 37 pilots. No further USO activity is taking place, but it would be madness for this union to not trial and pilot in 37 units, the biggest change in deliveries in over 60 years. Whether we like it or not, Ofcom has said the current USO is financially unsustainable, that there are only two options. There's either the optimised delivery model, or there's a cut in frequency of 3 or 4 days. Those are the two stark choices. Anyone who believes the current status quo of the USO is going to survive, it isn't. So the 37 units, it is quite likely that we should pilot to see whether that change works for our members, whether it achieves quality, whether it achieves fair and manageable workload. Does it achieve less Saturdays? Does it improve attendances? Does it improve morale and confidence in the workplace? Those are the four overarching principles. Now, what's happened is we've piloted in 3 units at the moment. So Newton Means went live 3 weeks ago. Cumbernauld and Girvan went live yesterday. Outside of that, full USO reform, nothing is happening, and we won't be negotiating on USO reform. And why that's critical, that we won't be negotiating USO reform until we got a pay deal and Section 5 sorted, is Royal Mail can't introduce it without working in every single delivery office, every single mail centre, a 12-week lead-in, which resolves the walks, resolves quality, resolves the duty sets, resolves any surplus. It can't be deployed. So we've got leverage which says, yes, we realise USO will have to change, but we want a decent pay rise. We want to move Section 5 on before we get into any discussions around the long-term change of the USO. And we believe that's a big leverage to both EP and to Royal Mail.
Thanks so much. So you set out sort of a load of logic there, and obviously highlighted the leverage that you feel the union has. I mean, what would you say to a member who would be saying, yeah, I get that, but this is the same board who has ripped up quality of service, who has destroyed morale in the workplace, who has effectively waged war against its own workforce? What level of confidence can we have that Royal Mail won't just at the appropriate point start implementing some of these things?
I think there's 2 reasons why Royal Mail won't be able to introduce change without the union. One is, I think the current board won't be here much more longer than May, if EP understand fully you can't make this company successful without getting the workforce and the union back on board. And the agreement says around transformation of IR and ER in every workplace. But equally, imagine trying to deploy 1,200 massive change revisions without working with the union, without working with the workforce. It simply won't work. And Ofcom's made it clear to Royal Mail they will not be agreeing any USO reform unless it achieves a quality target of 90. At the moment, 72% is what first class targets are. So we have got massive strengths and leverages when we go into talks. But why would we negotiate with the current board who attacked its workforce, has brought this company to its knees? Well, an £8 billion company which breaks even is not going to give you a decent pay rise, which is why the EP avenue around negotiating with Royal Mail under EP is the right move for this union and right for our members who want a decent pay rise.
Thanks, Martin. I want to put another one of the members' concerns to you. So Jamie Cousins says, okay, you can't understand you can't negotiate a Royal Mail board, understand that. But why are we allowing all these changes to take place in the workplace, putting more pressure before the new owners take over? And we're going along. He suggested that we're going along with the watering down the USO before the takeover is completed. I mean, that was quite a common thing, and he adds that we all feel let down as if we're being taken for a ride. So there was quite a common theme of, like, you know, if we can't get what we want, why are we going ahead with some of? And you've explained it, I think, really, really powerfully around there will be no movement beyond the trial offices. But and I guess you also have explained it around the logic of the trial in it. But you know, explain it to a member then, the logical thinking here, because it is difficult for them to understand that, you know, we are agreeing to some elements of trial and working together, whilst Royal Mail seemingly continue to have no will to move forward things that positively impact our members.
Look, whether we like it or not, Ofcom have said the current USO is financially unsustainable. Royal Mail are losing over £300 million per year. And they have said there's got to be change, and they will make that change around July. There are only two options available for us. It's a speed of delivery option, which Royal Mail want to pilot, and we've agreed to 37 pilots, or there's a cut in frequency of 3 or 4 days. If they move to a 3 or 4 day reduction, one is obviously that's got to be agreed by Parliament, but two, that's going to lead thousands and more job losses upstream, cross mail centres, cross network, cross delivery offices. This is why it's important to test in a live environment in 37 units to see whether the USO is working well. We tested and piloted 2 deliveries into one in 2003, and it didn't work everywhere. There was a lot of failures. We had to change some of the model in order for it to work. This is a much bigger change. This is the biggest change since 1968 when they introduced first class and second class. To not test it in live environments would be the wrong move. But what we have said all along, we would only support USO reform if it achieves those 4 overarching objectives. 1, it's got to achieve quality at 90%, not 72% currently. 2, it's got to achieve reliable workload. It's got to achieve a reduction in fatigue. 3, it's got to obviously induce better attendance patterns with fewer Saturdays, and there's got to be better morale and staff confidence in the workplace. Now, I was in Cumbernauld yesterday morning, meeting the members. They went live yesterday. And so we are fully engaged with our members in those pilot units. And again, I understand the frustration. Everyone wants a pay rise tomorrow, but you've got to negotiate with the people you believe will get you a better pay rise. And it will only be the CWU negotiating with Royal Mail under EP where we're going to get a decent pay rise. We're going to equalise new entrants' pay in terms and conditions. We're going to improve SSP. We're going to obviously improve VR. We're going to improve overtime and SA payments. And we're going to give everyone a cash incentive bonus scheme. So these are real progress, which resolves a lot of the issues where people are unpopular within the BRTG agreement. But, you know, I know patience is difficult in this cash, crisis, which people have with their own personal income. If we could have negotiated it, we would have done. But we're in a better position as soon as the transaction takes place to achieve the best possible pay deal, along with all the resolutions, Section 5. And we've still got the leverage of saying we're not going to go any further on USO outside the 37 pilots until we've got a pay deal, which is supported by our members, until we've resolved Section 5.
Thanks, Martin. I don't want to seem as if I was hassling you there. I certainly wasn't. And I fully understand the position you've set out. In fact, there were loads of members who were advocating the position that you've set out, including, if I can find it, Jason Bath, who says, I love how some people lay blame and responsibility for self-inflicted problems of the employer and wider international issues at the feet of the union, who only have the best interest of their members at heart. People's anger and frustration should be aimed at down the appropriate channel where the blame actually lies. And I think that was a good message from Jason there, and it was repeated by like lots and lots of our members and representatives as well, Martin. I just wondered, obviously summing up then, because obviously we're only here now talking about, you know, Section 5 pay and associated issues. If you had any final closing messages on this session.
I think where we're going to be in the next 2 to 3 weeks, Chris, hopefully in negotiations. And I saw some messages which says, well, how do we know the takeover is actually going to take place? And the reality is the experts in this field who, you know, review hedge funds, all of those things, believe it's going to take place. And we are convinced we will get the right agreement, or we won't support USA reform, and we will oppose it. So we are confident that we will get the right agreement. The members should trust us, continue to put our faith. We understand your frustration, but we're determined to make sure you got a deal on pay and all those issues on Section 5 as soon as possible before our policy forum in May. And it will be backdated to April, any pay rise.
Thank you, Martin. So first of all, thank you for your time. Even more importantly, thank you to everyone who's joined us. This is an important subject, one we know every member feels passionately about. So make sure that you share it in your workplace, in your WhatsApp groups and whatever get around. Also join us on Thursday at 5 p.m. for the CWU weekly show, where we'll have National Officer Tony Boots talking all things delivery. So yeah, busy week. So Martin, thank you for joining us. I think it's been a really informative session, and we'll see you all soon.